Alright, so, with Sinister on his way, I decided, you know what, I want to talk about a few X-Men villains I would love to see in future X-Men movies. And, yeah, as always, I didn't put everyone in here, but I just listed a few villains I think would be really cool to see, and kind of talk about how I could see these villains introduced in the movie universe. Now, I did want to talk about Mojo, but I couldn't really think about how you could do Mojo. So I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys want Mojo as well. So if you got a cool reason of how to put him in there, then please leave them in the comments below. But anyway, yeah, I just thought I'd list off a few villains I'd like to see in future X-Men movies. So again, this is just my list, and I'm always excited to hear yours. Just my personal list. I'm not saying these are the only ones I want to see. Trust me, there were a ton more, but I didn't want to make this list too long. So yeah. Starting off with Proteus. Now, at somewhere down the line, I am pretty freaking sure we're going to get Proteus somewhere down the line of the X-Men movies, because we do know that Moira McTaggart did have a son. She does have a son in X-Men Apocalypse. She does say she has a son, and that her I think either the father died or went away. However, I would not put it past him to say, like, oh, it's really Xavier's kid, and she just, he wiped her memory of that. They could easily go the Legion route. I would not put him past him to kind of sprinkle a little bit of Legion in there. But with the Legion TV show apparently still a go, maybe they'll... I don't know. I've heard nothing about Legion after its announcement. All I know is that they got a pilot. That's it. Maybe they'll just, scrap Legion altogether. And, if they ever do Proteus, they'll say, oh, he's really Xavier's son. Because I would not put it past him to change that. I wouldn't be against it either. Because in the same way, it's like, he's still a mutant kid, and again, it would be there for shock value, honestly, but, yeah. I don't know, I wouldn't hate it. I don't know, I just wouldn't hate it, honestly. But again, at the same time, you're like, well, why not just do Legion at the same time? That's Xavier's son. Anyway. But yeah, I'm pretty sure Proteus is going to be somewhere in these films. We already have a little bit of establishment of him. And somewhere down the line, I'm pretty sure we're going to get him as a major X-Men villain. I think it would be cool because he's this huge reality warping mutant. He's he's one of the most powerful enemies out there, and his story was kind of tragic. That he was just mentally unstable, and no one could get through to him. And it's a very heartbreaking story at the end. Also, it's a very neck breaking story for Proteus, but his consciousness lived on and all that. Anyway. So yeah, there you go, Proteus. Up next is the Brood. Now, the big thing with the Brood, I'd love to see them, but at the same time, I think it would be hard to do because people are just going to say, well, they're alien ripoffs. They're not wrong, because, yeah, Chris Claremont said that, the Brood are loosely based off of, he got a lot of inspiration from, well, aliens, so, yeah. But at the same time, I think you can, I think they're far enough from the Xenomorphs to make them their own thing. I think that would be cool enough there. And again, Bryan Singer wants to do more cosmic stuff, and I think it would be cool to have, a little X-Men horror type story. You could do have a standalone film of some of the X-Men are, they do they have to go to a space station or something that's fallen silent, and the government sends them up there to check it out, and they encounter the Brood. Kind of do a cool one and done horror story, That's what I liked about Deadpool, is that there was no big world-changing stakes. It was just a one-and-done story. And I would like to see more movies like that in the movie, in the X-Men movie universe. And hell, even other superhero movies, that would be cool, of doing these one-and-done type stories, kind of like what the Star Wars anthologies are kind of doing. But yeah, I think the Brood would be interesting. You just gotta I think the design far enough is from the Xenomorphs, but at the same time, I feel like people are gonna complain about that, which I think is funny because Fox also owns Alien, so I think it's like, oh, well, they're just copying themselves. Nah, I don't know. I just like to see the Brood. I feel like they would be a fun villain to encounter, but I'm pretty sure if we ever do the Phoenix Saga properly, Bryan Singer will somehow find a way to put them in one scene of the Phoenix Saga movie, because he does want to do an X-Men in space type film, and I wouldn't put it past him to have at least the Brood in the film as another act, they crash land on a planet and encounter the Brood, or something of that nature. Alright, so next up is Bastion. I think Bastion would be another cool X-Men villain. It would be cool to see the Sentinels again. I think it would be a pretty cool idea to kind of throw in the Sentinels once more. you could have the Master Mold. You could have him, creating the Master Mold, and he was like kind of like the Terminator in a way. Bastion was a pretty intelligent, pretty powerful opponent. And yeah, I think it would be cool to see, again, you could probably do a cool adaptation of Operation Zero Tolerance, that X-Men event involving the Sentinels, and he was a big part of it. So maybe you could do X-Men Zero Tolerance, or something like that, and bring in the Sentinels once more. This is how you can also bring in Master Mold and have he's the herald of the Master Mold. And the Master Mold's gained sentience, and now it's kind of going all Skynet on everybody, and Bastion is its herald in a way. Maybe you could do something like that. He's another cool villain, lesser known, and I was kind of hoping we'd see a mention of him in Days of Future Past, because again, it was a big thing with Sentinels, and he's technically a Sentinel, so yeah. Anyway, so there you go, Bastion. So following that is Exodus. Now, Exodus is a pretty powerful mutant, and one of Magneto's mutant acolytes. How you could probably do Exodus is kind of, but at the same, Exodus is a cool villain, but at the same time he kind of follows the steps of Apocalypse, where he's very strongest will survive, and he's also kind of immortal. He was born around the Crusades, if I remember right. It was either during the he's French. I remember that he's French. But he was either born during the Crusades, and that's when his powers activated, or sometime in 18th century, not 18th century, 14th century France. It's one of those timelines. It's always messed up in my head. Anyway, but I think Exodus would be a cool villain. Maybe you could have it that he's in charge of the Acolytes, and they're kind of the Acolytes were very much like this extremist group that followed Magneto religiously. But maybe have it that Exodus kind of manipulates all the other members of the Acolytes, like Fabian Cortez and all the other ones. He gets them to work for him, saying, "Oh, we're the true children of Magneto," and Magneto's probably gone into hiding or something like that at this time, and now he's kind of manipulating the other mutants around him for Exodus's, and he's kind of manipulating all the other members of the Acolytes to commit these horrible acts of terror on behalf. It's a more aggressive version of the Brotherhood of Mutants in a way. That's how I kind of see it anyway. So there you go, guys. Exodus. Following that is Donald Pierce. Donald Pierce would be a cool villain. I don't think you'd need to bring in the Hellfire Club, or you could bring in the Hellfire Club once again. But the other way you could do it is the same time he's the one who creates Bastion. He's the one after Boulevard Trask got arrested for he was in prison for basically treason, and yeah but they didn't want the Sentinel program to be mothballed, so they gave it to Donald Pierce, and Donald Pierce is this diehard xenophobic mutants gotta die kind of person. So they give it to him, and he just goes apeshit, creates the Master... You could have it in the film that he's the one who creates the Master Mold. He also programs Bastion and eventually becomes a cybernetic human like he is in the comics. Something like that I think would be pretty cool to see in terms of Bastion. I think he would be a very interesting opponent for the X-Men to encounter and battle on film. Because I think I would love to see another... human story, or at least another Sentinel story to that nature. I'd love to see another Sentinels type conflict again, but no real time travel this time around. Not that I hated the time travel. Days of Future Past was a really badass movie, so yeah. But I think Donald Pierce would be a cool adversary. Again, have him the one being in the movie universe, being the one to create the Master Mold and in turn create Bastion. You could have Bastion, Master Mold, and Donald Pierce in one movie. Have them be this team of villains who are making these upgraded Sentinels who are very close to the more comic-centric Sentinels. But anyway, so there you go, guys. Those are just a handful of villains I would love to see in X-Men. I would love to see them in the X-Men movies, and you guys tell me, what villains would you love to see in an X-Men movie, and how would you make them work in the X-Men movie universe? Really curious to see what you guys have to say about this one, and once again, hope you all enjoyed this, and I will see you guys later.